Welcome again. This is Bill Jones with recapturefederalism.com and operationofficialmisconduct.com. Another day, another episode, another presentation. Today's subject is going to be one concerning Ferguson, Missouri again. I've done some in the past. The title today is Ferguson Police Shooting, Overthrow of Government. That's correct. So we're going to be here today with another presentation from Frida's Nest. And we'll be getting all into that. But you know what I have to do first? That's right. And the first thing we always do is take care of administrative business. Got to do the business first. And that's the oath. I, William R. Jones, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, so help me God. And as I always say, been keeping that oath since 1965, July of 1965, when I joined the Navy. To see the world and what did I see? The Atlantic, it was frantic. Well, yeah, the enemy then was communism, as it is now. And what I mean by communism is a generic term to me. Those adhering to the Communist Manifesto and the guidelines of the Communist Party in 1921. That's what I mean by communist. Totalitarians, their political party supremacy, despotic, the whole thing there. And it's a lot easier to just say commie or communist. And that's what I mean by that. And General quarters, all hands man your battle stations, up and forward to starboard, down and aft to port, set material condition zebra throughout the ship. This is not a drill, communist insurrection, general quarters. Yes, as the title indicates, the episode today, the presentation today is about Ferguson, Missouri again, and I've done some in the past, but this is somewhat of an update and into a more in-depth look at what's going on in Ferguson. As I record this 2 days ago at night in Ferguson, 2 police officers were ambushed, shot, attempted assassination, and I'm going to use those terms. Someone attempted to kill a public official, and that's what police officers are. They're sworn officers, public officials. And there was an attempt to assassinate them. That is a treasonable act. And I'll get into that later, but that's advocating the overthrow of government. It's a treasonable act. We'll get into that real deep. And it's coming from people are being incited to riot for mob action. And it's coming from a democratic centralism. Oh, I've been over all this stuff before, and I'm going to go through it again. Because it's all tied together. It's all tied together, and it goes all the way back to the American Revolution, up and through the Communist Manifesto and guidelines of the Communist Party. Our government is not a flowing government. It is an amendable government. We have representative government. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's always supposed to be. And I'll show you how we got to where we're at by people who want to make a fundamental change. Well, I don't want a fundamental change. I like the Constitution and the federal system of America just the way it was in 1781 and 1791 when they added the Bill of Rights on. I'm very happy, satisfied with that. In fact, if you, as a veteran, I look back, there is not one member of the United States military, any one of the services, who died for fundamental change. But they sure did die. and sacrifice their lives in the service of their country for fundamental rights. And that's what we're going to go over. Fundamental rights that are there. Not fundamental change. Fundamental change, as we will get into, that's communism. Communist Manifesto. Communist guidelines of the Communist Party, 1921. You don't, and I'll say it again, you don't have to be a communist to adhere to those communist public policies. In fact, we're seeing now, and if you look closely to ISIL in Syria and Iraq, if you look at them closely, they're following strategies and tactics that are right there in the guidelines of the Communist Party, 1921, and the Communist Manifesto. That's right. And they're nowhere near being communist, but people follow those strategies and tactics because they work. That's why. If you've heard me or watched my stuff in the past, and I have 90-some videos on YouTube, so if you watched them in the past, you've seen these next few, eight slides I'm going to show you. You've seen them before, and I go over this. Now, I talk about the guidelines of the Communist Party 1921, and there's the official title, and that's why I don't go through the whole title all the time. Guidelines on the organizational structure of communist parties on the methods and content of their work, from 12 July 1921. Now, they got a big title, a lot of strategies, and I mentioned just a second ago that ISIL follows this and other organizations follow this. And do they follow necessarily the communist parties? No, they do. They follow the methods and content of their work. That's where the strategies are. And as I've said before, it's Machiavellian on steroids. It's super Machiavellian. It's all based on that. It goes way back to the Bible and strategies that are in some of the strategies in the Bible. The psychology and the political science that's in the Bible. That's where all this stuff comes from. It comes way back. And what Engels and Marx did was they organized it and put it into an organizational structure. Whether it be the Communist parties or ISIL or the Democratic Party in the United States, the Republican Party in the United States, those jackasses. You know, I just did a episode on jackasses, and that's what they are. They're stupid, foolish people. Anybody who wants to deviate from a beautiful system that our founders came up with in 1788, you've got to be foolish. You'll notice there in the bottom of the first paragraph there, the last section there, the first stage, let me get there. Leading in all phases of its revolutionary class struggle in the subsequent transitional period toward the realization of socialism, the first stage of communist society. That is correct. And that's where we're at. That's where I finally heard last night, I don't know whether it was Megan Kelly or Bill O'Reilly. One of them, they had gone through the what was being said in the background as the police officers were killed, or not killed, but shot. They're attempted to be killed and assassinated. But somebody said they mentioned the revolution. Duh. Civil rights movement is part of the revolution, the communist revolution, the revolutionary movement from the 60s. It just continues on and on. It is not human rights. It is not human rights. Let me repeat that several times. It is not human rights. Civil rights movement is a communist movement. It's a revolutionary movement. And you'll see as we go on, they use all the tactics. Now that's general is number one. And let me go. Number two is democratic centralism. That's the president, the Democratic Party, all involved, the Attorney General of the United States in Washington. They're democratic. the democratic centralism coming out and forcing the states to do things. Regulations on all this stuff. For the last 100 and some years, we've been going down that road, flowing progressive movement to a communist society. And you're going to see more and more deaths and killing, because that's what the communists do. And democratic centralism, that's what you see. It's gone amok. And you have a democratic governor. I'm going to get into him too. That man ought to be in jail. He ought to be tried and put in jail. And I'll get into that. But that's their democratic centralism. He's the chief executive officer of the state of Missouri. He's a chief executive officer. He has a job to do. And one is to ensure domestic tranquility. Do you have that? Have you had that in Ferguson in the last 6 months, however long it's been, since the self-defense by the officer against that criminal? That's what it is. Number 3, communist obligation to do work. That's all part of this stuff. That you see the people demonstrating, you see the people doing their thing, their signs, their slogans. That's what they're doing. Those are cells. There's cells from out of the area and in the area, all over. They're all over the country. They're in there causing trouble, because we go into number 4, which is propaganda and agitation, and that's what you have at Ferguson. Revolution is right. That guy's saying revolution. He's right. And the revolution's part of that's the propaganda and agitation, and propaganda is the civil rights movement. That's right. All these regulations, propaganda and agitation. The media talking about it. The media talking about it. They're part of the propaganda and agitation. They come up with no solutions. They don't talk about it. Now I'll get into it. I talk about them. And I've reignited the Operation Official Misconduct, and I'm going to get into that. I'm going to talk to you about that. Psych ops is this propaganda and agitation. Propaganda and that sounds like a spin zone, doesn't it? Yeah, propaganda and agitation. We'll get into that. We'll go number 5. On the organization of political struggles, what you see in Ferguson is the organization of political struggles, and you see the shooting of officers, and it's not the, how we've had. How many have we had here lately? Out in California, we had 2 California Highway Patrol killed by that person that's not even supposed to be in this country, been deported and then coming back, killed 2 highway patrolmen out there. We had a highway patrolman in Pennsylvania killed, assassinated. They were assassinated by their barracks, and right next to the one that was assassinated was one that was wounded. That was an assassination. It was an ambush, just like Ferguson. Fast and Furious, we had a ICE officer, a border patrol, killed. We had 2 police officers in New York City. Assassination again. And then we're going to get into that deeper, because that's advocating the overthrow of government. Advocating the overthrow of government. That's the revolution. That's the revolution. I'll get my graphic up again. That's what I'm talking about. The silent, secret American insurrection and revolutionary movement. I've had that now a year and a half or so. Put it on all of my episodes and presentations. It's important. Important. Now we get to 6. Yeah, the party press, of course, is written in 1921, as I say. It includes all the advanced technology now, and it's really the media, press, all that that we have. Yahoo News and all these others. They're all party organs. They're part of the gang. They're part of the seditious conspiracy, the advocating of the overthrow of government. They're all part of that, including Fox. Hello, Fox. I can't leave you guys out. You're not where you're supposed to be, as far as I'm concerned. Regular Maytag washer. Spin, spin, spin. The rest. Spin, spin, spin. Then we got number 7. Talks about the general structure of the party organism. Yeah, that's all part of the struggle, part of the thing. Democratic Party, Republican Party. Structure, structure, structure. Leadership, leadership. And that's where they're at. You get into detail and reading this stuff. But you just skim over it like I'm doing right now. Leads you right to number 8. I want you to look at this title real close. And you can read into this real closely too about their combination of legal and illegal work. They openly, communists openly, Engels and Marx, the prophets of the communist religion, openly talk about illegal work. Illegal work. And what you see out there at Ferguson the night before last was illegal. That was not a peaceful demonstration. Anytime a demonstration interferes with law-abiding citizens, it is no longer peaceful. It is offensive to those who are not part of the struggle, not part of the civil rights movement, not part of the violence. And that's what it is. There's a fine line, and the last time you saw nonviolence, the way it's supposed to be demonstrated is by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Back in 1965, that's when he was subverted. Selma was the last thing you see like that. Now they cross the line all the time. They cross the line all the time. Now I'm going to show you some consistency that we have in the federal system of America. And going all the way back to 1776, this is what you see on the screen is from the first Constitution of Pennsylvania from September 28th, 1776. And as I said in a previous episode, this is the sweetest 23 words I've ever found, because it's the basis for what's happening in Ferguson. That's right. It's the basis for what's happening in Ferguson and all over this country, and the expansion of the federal government. This is the basis for the 10th Amendment. I've gone over that, and I'll go over it real quick here. Let me read these words. These are critical words. That the people of this state have the sole, exclusive, and inherent right of governing and regulating the eternal police of the same. Now they're talking about Pennsylvania. No, well, they're talking about that state. Every state, the sole and exclusive and inherent right of governing. That is fundamental rights of human beings, America. Fundamental. We don't need any fundamental change. And as I said, no military man, American, has ever died for fundamental change. But we have people wanting fundamental change and are doing it illegally, criminally. Illegal parties, just got through over that, and the guidelines of the Communist Party. Now let's fast forward. We had the 1776, September 28th. Then I told you about the 10th Amendment, which we all know about, don't we? Everything not specified is supposed to be done by the state. That was a concession and a consent of the people to deviate from that Pennsylvania thing. Pennsylvania right. Then we come up, we're talking about Ferguson, Missouri. We're talking about the police work in Ferguson, Missouri. The federal government has no right interfering with any state and any state's internal police and the people's right to regulate and govern their internal police. And I'm going to go into this. Here is some, we're going to go through 3 sections of the Missouri Constitution. And it's their last constitution It may be the only one. I don't know. I haven't gone deeper into that. But the source is the Constitution, 1875, and it still remains. Section 2, promotion of the general welfare, national rights of persons, equality under the law, purpose of government. That all constitutional government is intended to promote the general welfare of the people, and that all persons have a natural right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the enjoyment of the gains of their own industry. That all persons are created equal and are entitled to equal rights and opportunity under the law. That to give security to these things in the principal office of government, and when government does not confer this security, it fails in its chief design. Okay? Everybody has equal rights. So when the civil rights people come along, the communist civil rights people come along, and they want special rights for groups, they're violating the Constitution in Missouri. And these are inherent rights. This is from the Bill of Rights. These are inherent rights. So it's the same in all states. The whole principle is the same in all states. So what the civil rights movement wants is something more for a particular group, protected groups of people. Now, we'll go to next. And here, you remember the Pennsylvania? Look at this. I want you to look at this. Section 3, powers of the people over eternal affairs, constitution, and form of government. That the people of this state have the inherent, sole, and exclusive right to regulate the internal government and police thereof, and to alter and abolish their constitution and form of government whenever they may deem it necessary to their safety and happiness, provided such change be non-repugnant to the Constitution of the United States. Wow. What are they saying there? Well, what the Attorney General of the United States, the Department of Justice, the Civil Rights Division, which is a communist agency, what they're trying to do is force Missouri to violate their own Constitution. The people, the powers of the people over internal affairs, they are usurping the basic human rights, inherent rights, of the people of Missouri, in this case down in Ferguson. They're criminals. That's right, they're criminals. Fundamental change again. The people of Missouri don't want the fundamental change. They can take care of their own business, thank you. They don't need any commies in Washington changing fundamental change of their stuff. Keep out of it. Leave it alone. And that includes the criminality of the governor, and we'll get into that. He needs to be tried, thrown in jail. We get to 4. Section 4, independence of Missouri, submission to certain amendments to the Constitution of the United States. Missouri is a free and independent state subject only to the Constitution of the United States, and that all proposed amendments to the Constitution of the United States qualifying or affecting the individual liberties of the people, or which is in any wise may impair the right of local self-government belonging to the people of the state, should be submitted to conventions of the people. Now, Missouri is a free and independent state. They do not need the federal government, and for the federal government to be interfering in the government of the state of Missouri is a criminal act. It's a treasonable act. It is attempting to overthrow the government of Missouri. Now I've talked about the governor. Governor Nixon, Democratic governor. And I noticed yesterday afternoon, I just happened to be listening to Sean Hannity. He had the lieutenant governor on. I don't know why. You know, I know why. He's going to Sean Hannity and crying and moaning, getting on the air. He probably should be doing that second. The first thing you ought to do, and I'm going to show you later what he should be doing, is going to a judge in the state of Missouri, and I would suggest maybe even all of the Supreme Court justices in the state of Missouri. That's what he should be doing. When I talk about the governor being tried and being charged, along with treason, there's other things he can be charged with. Official misconduct, and the definition of that is improper and or illegal acts by a public official who violate his or her duty to follow the law and act upon the behalf of public good. Often such conduct is under the guise or color of official authority. There's that official authority with the civil rights movement. Oh, they're doing civil rights. Not human rights. Not constitutional rights, not inherent rights, no, but the communist civil rights. That's the guise of official authority. I'm doing a little research. There's a paper that came out February 2nd, 2004, Constitutional and Statutory Impeachment Provisions in the 50 states. In the 50 states. And not all of them have statutory impeachment provisions. Illinois, for instance, my home state, they have a separate treason statute, and I believe that came out after this paper was done. But we have the 50 states. Now, what do they say about Missouri in here, for instance? Missouri, they have, in their Constitution, crimes, misconduct, habitual drunkenness, willful neglect of duty, corruption in office, incompetency, or any offense of moral turpitude or oppression in office. What do you think the governor is doing? He's been incompetent. We've had all those fires. We have not had domestic tranquility. I can guarantee you there in the last several months. He's not doing his job. He's the chief executive officer. And he is conspiring with the federal government, seditious conspiracy, and I'll get into that in a little bit. It's also in their statutes. They have statutes, which is crimes, misconduct, habitual drunkenness, willful neglect of duty, corruption in office, incompetency, or any other offense of moral turpitude or oppression in office. Missouri revised statutes. So what they've done, they've had the Constitution, then they codify it. They codified it in the Missouri statutes. Then we have Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution. I've been over that many times. Treason. It's been codified on the federal level in 1909. There's been some amendments, but this is the present federal statutes. 18 U.S.C., Chapter 115, 2381, treason. Subject, found guilty, subject, it's a death penalty. Now, 2382, misprision of treason. By the way, misprision is a legal word, and it means maladministration of public duty. When I talked about that lieutenant governor crying and bitching and moaning on Sean Hannity's show yesterday afternoon, he should be taking care of business. Because he should be taking care of business right here. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States or having knowledge of commission of any treason against them conceals and does not, as soon as may be, disclose or make known the same to the President or some judge of the United States, or to the Governor or some judge or justice of a particular state, is guilty of misprision of treason and shall be fined under the title or imprisoned not more than 7 years, or both. Now, why isn't he going to a judge? Why isn't he going to Supreme Court judges of the state of Missouri? You got treason going on, and I'll get into some of these other things, the other areas of treason. But he can be charged himself. He's aware of what's going on. He's complaining and moaning about what they're doing there. And he's not bright enough to know that there's seditious conspiracy. He's not bright enough to know that there's advocating the overthrow of government. And here you have, heard that word. Yeah, they identified that word, talking about revolution. The revolutionary movement. The Civil Rights Movement, that's part of the revolutionary movement. And what do you have? 2383, rebellion or insurrection. 2383. Then we go to the next. You're going to love the next. Seditious conspiracy. And if you read down in here, the one that really is really targeted, and that you could target the governor, for instance, and the President of the United States, and the Attorney General of the United States, the Democratic and Republican parties in the United States, they're all in this together. That's why they don't take action against each other. They're all in this together. It says, or possess any property in the United States contrary to authority thereof, they shall each be fined. Well, I missed something here. Let me go back. Or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States. I read to you the Missouri law, the Constitution. They are hindering that. Somebody should be going in. The governor is hindering and delaying execution of any law. For 6 months, they have not had domestic tranquility in Ferguson, Missouri. They've had mob actions, burnings of businesses, shooting of police officers, and we're going to get into that next because that's the next one. That's 2385. Well, I finally found 2385 on my slide. And this is very important. The first paragraph, I want to read that because what happened in Ferguson with those police officers shot is directly advocating the overthrow of government. 2385, whoever knowingly or willfully advocates, abets, advises, or teaches the duty, necessity, desirability, or the propriety of overthrowing or destroying the government of the United States or the government of any state, territory, district, possession thereof, or the government of any political subdivision therein, by force or violence, or by the assassination of any officer of any such government. You had the attempted assassination the other night. Fortunately, they weren't successful. But those police officers, they may be suffering the rest of their life. They may never be law enforcement officers ever again because of the enemy, especially the one that was shot in the face. But look at that, what that says. You know what that includes? That includes the press. That includes public officials all over the place. That includes bankers. Everybody that's involved in the civil rights movement, that's who that includes. That's right, advocating the overthrow of government. That's revolution, insurrection. That's all of that stuff. That's advocating the overthrow. And by being silent, they say being silent is consent, don't they? Nobody talking about it. You see, when they said revolution last night on Fox, they should have went more than just talking about the word revolution, because that whole thing is a revolution and insurrection. What happens in New York was revolution and insurrection. That's correct. What happened in New York, what happened out in California with the 2 highway patrol, what happened out in Pennsylvania, the assassination of that Pennsylvania highway patrolman. That is assassination. That is advocating the overthrow of government. And what is anybody doing about it? Where are the lawyers and the judges? Well, I guess they're advocating the overthrow of government also. They're sworn officers of the court. What we have had for 100 years, and which has been magnified over the last 6 years, is just what I've been talking about the last several minutes. And it's fundamental change from what it's supposed to be. What you have is totalitarian control that has become tradition in the United States. Nobody bats an eye. Everybody thinks it's normal what happened and is happening in Ferguson is not normal. It's criminal. It's against the law. It's illegal activities. It's racketeering, profiteering. People make money off of that stuff. That's correct. And it's going on and on and on. Nobody's saying anything. Everybody is collaborating with each other to violate the law. And we'll continue on with other presentations. I'm not done. I'm going to keep going. It seems like there's a different day, different crisis, different chaos. Different day, different chaos. And they're all related to the same thing, the same revolutionary movement. The insurrection. That's right, insurrection. And with that, I'll be saying a good day. If you're not listening on my website, recapturefederalism.com and official Operation Official Misconduct.com. Go to either one of those sites. Please subscribe to those sites. We're going to give you more. We'll be doing more. If you don't want to subscribe, that's fine. You go to the sites, get the free stuff that we have. Everything's free right now anyway. But you can go, RSS, you can keep up to date with stuff that I keep doing, and it's every day or so, or 2 days, whatever it is. And with that, we'll say a good day.